Hi, everyone. Catherine and I are here. Welcome to Conversations with Catherine. I am joined today by Shane Watson. He is the Public Information Officer for notMykid. And if you are not familiar with notMykid, they are a tremendous, valuable organization in our community, nonprofit that provides children and families with the life-saving programs and resources and education that we all need, and especially in a time like this. So good to talk to you, Shane.
Good to see you again, Catherine, albeit in the virtual sense. Thanks for having me on.
It is the way things are right now. Always a pleasure, though, to talk to you, especially now because, I've been thinking about my son and his friends, 17-year-olds, dealing with coping with being inside the house. They have no friends. They have no sports. They have no school. And then if you are a senior who's supposed to be graduating, that's supposed to be the time of your life. How are you dealing with some of the intake that you're getting from these families and these kids? What are you seeing? What's the temperature out there like?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty, as you mentioned, for our kids, but there's a lot of uncertainty for us as adults as well. This is brand new to all of us. We don't necessarily have a playbook for dealing with this. And so a lot of parents are coming to us saying, what can I do with this situation? It's feeling very out of control for a lot of us. And so what we're encouraging parents and teens to do is shift our focus from the things that we can't control, which seems like most things at this point, to what we can control. Now, you mentioned about kids being stuck inside. For the majority of the time, we are, but even with social distancing, we're still allowed to get outside for exercise. And because organized sports are shut down, and because exercise is such an important way of dealing with stress or dealing with anxiety, we have to make sure that our kids are exercising. Whether it's in the house, whether they're doing push-ups and sit-ups and crunches in the house, or whether they're getting out, they're going for a run, we're going for a walk as a family. That's a big part of what we can control. And as far as them being separated from their friends, they are, but so much of their life takes place through technology. I feel like a lot of our kids are adapting to this disconnection better than we are, because so much of their contact did take place through Snapchat, TikTok, through Instagram, etc. Let's let our kids have a little time on social media than usual. I'm all for balancing that out, but that's their lifeline right now. That's their connection to their friends. So make sure they're getting out, make sure they're getting their exercise, allow them to have that electronic lifeline and that contact with their peers.
Yes, my son actually did remind me that he's been using Zoom long before I have been. So they definitely know these skills a lot better than we do, or at least did. So talk to me a little bit about some of the feelings that you're seeing teens are experiencing right now. Are you seeing higher levels of anxiety or depression? How concerned should we be about those feelings?
We should definitely be vigilant. Teens are already prone to stress and anxiety. The teen years can be stressful on their own because there's so many rapid changes occurring physically, emotionally, socially. But then you throw COVID-19 in the mix and you have a whole different situation there. It's something it's very real. And a lot of kids, what they're expressing to us is a feeling of uncertainty. What is the world going to be like after this? Are we going back to school next year? As much as a lot of kids are excited for a little bit, hey, I don't have to wake up and go take a math test like I did now. They're starting to realize how many things that they really did love have changed. And so there's a lot of uncertainty. I think one of the best things we can do is we can make sure that we make it clear to them they can come to us anytime. If they're feeling scared, if they're feeling anxious, it's not an inconvenience for them to come to us and say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? I need to talk through something with you. Another thing that we can do as parents, if they are anxious or depressed or stressed, is to validate those feelings, to not downplay those feelings. For us as adults right now, we're thinking about, am I going to lose my job? Or if you have, how am I going to take care of my family? What's the economy going to look like? So we're carrying those adult problems, but our kids' problems, their stress is no less real to them. So we need to make sure that we don't minimize. When they come to us and they say, I'm upset that I'm not going to get to graduate, or I'm not going to finish my sports season, or I don't get to see my friends, maybe that sounds small to us in light of looking at, is the economy going to be destroyed? That's very real to them. So we need to empathize, we need to validate, we need to say, I can tell and I recognize that that's very stressful for you. That's one of the biggest things that we can do, is build that bridge to communication and make sure that they feel like they're being heard. But we're hearing a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of apprehension regarding what kind of a future am I going to have.
Well, those coping skills that you suggest for us as parents to help our kids, very, very important, because yes, it may seem minor to us when we're dealing with financial problems, but I also think about what my senior year of high school was like, or my junior year. And, that was my whole world. So I empathize tremendously with all of the teenagers who are out there feeling these, uncertain feelings of anxiety and stress and what have you, which is really important to be able to talk about this with you, because notMykid has so many valuable resources. Talk to me a little bit about what those look like and how you are continuing to offer them even in this virtual world that we're dealing with right now.
In under 3 weeks, we have adapted all of our programs from being in person to being online. We are still offering all of the same things that we offered previously now through Zoom or through other online platforms. Number one is our prevention education for both youth or adults. We are now still able to present on topics like internet safety, substance use, suicide prevention, healthy relationships, but we're able to do it through Zoom or through WizIQ or other platforms like that. We're also able to continue to do our family groups or our early intervention program, Project Rewind. We meet a lot of families whose preteens or teens have started experimenting with drugs or alcohol. They're past the point of prevention, but they haven't gone so far down that path that they require a residential inpatient stay or a trip to rehab. And we used to do those in person, but now we've continued once again through Zoom with those as well. So we're meeting that need. And we're also doing what's called Teen Talk. It's less formal. It's a way that we're meeting with teens who might not necessarily even be here in the Valley, throughout the United States, throughout the world, who want to join us on Zoom. They want to vent about their feeling. They want to do it in an environment that's positive and healthy and supportive. And we also facilitate some conversations in there to get them talking about things that are going on, to hear what they have to say, because a lot of them feel like they're not being listened to. And then finally, we are still continuing to offer Botvin's life skills training. It's something that we do for high school freshmen. It got interrupted for a couple of weeks, but we are right back on with those same schools, teaching life skills through Zoom to high school freshmen. Things about how to be a savvy media consumer, how to say no to drugs and alcohol, how to maintain healthy relationships. We focus so much in our society on the problem, or making sure that kids or adults are aware of the problem. Life skills equips them with the solution, with the strategies. And the final thing that we did that's new has been in response to this social distancing. And what it is, if you go to our website at notmykid.org, a pop-up will immediately come up over your screen with a phone number that you can text. You text the word question to that number, and it'll pop back a form that you can fill out. You can let us know what you need. What that's doing is it's replacing parents' ability they used to have to walk into our office, ring our doorbell, sit down in our living room and say, here's what's going on with my family. What do I do about this? And if we get that form from you, one of our prevention specialists will get back to you. We'll connect you with the help that you need. We'll listen if that's what you need. And that's something that we've done specifically in response to the fact that we can't answer our door. You can't walk into our office right now.
And that's so important, not just for our teenagers to feel like they're not alone, but also for us as parents. We're all in this together. Tell me about the podcast Win This Year, because I know that you've been very successful with that. Are you still doing that? And where can people find it?
It's become even more important given the situation that we're in right now. You can find it at, if you type in winthisyear.buzzsprout.com, or we are now high enough in the Google rankings. If you type in Win This Year podcast, you'll see the results. Also, if you're already listening to podcasts on things like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Alexa, if you type in Win This Year, you will find us. We're now 19 episodes in, about to record and release our 20th episode. And we aim to be, with every episode, informative, interesting, and inspiring. We want you to walk away from every episode saying, I learned something new. I felt something from this. It made me feel something. And I'm inspired to take action. We want there to be actionable steps in every episode. And we talk about some heavy topics. We talked about suicide. We launched the show on National Suicide Prevention Day, or World Suicide Prevention Day. So we talk about some heavy topics. but we do it in a way that, as I said previously, is solution focused. Parents walk away, adults walk away from hearing these episodes feeling empowered and having at the very least one actionable step that they say, okay, I can implement this right now as a parent. I can apply this to my family right this moment.
Well, we should mention you host it. You do a tremendous job. You and I have had collaboration in the community for many years. You change lives. I've witnessed the way you are able to touch lives. So thank you, Shane, for all that you do, especially now when we need you more than ever.
Thank you so much. And if I can add one last thing, you mentioned earlier, as far as the helping teens through this difficult situation that we're in with COVID-19, you mentioned the phrase coping skills. I talked about the communication with friends. I talked about the exercise outside, but you hit on something that I glossed over pretty quickly, the coping skills. If your kids like music, writing, art, movies, there's a lot of things that we're still able to do at home. They can pour themselves into journaling. They can pour themselves into writing in their diary, poetry, lyrics, creating music. Make sure that your kids are getting the chance to spend that time doing those things that help them release those feel-good neurotransmitters naturally, the dopamine and serotonin, lower their anxiety as well. So thank you so much for mentioning that. And that's a really final important thing to add in there as well.
You're the best, Shane. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's notmykid.org. It is the place to be right now. Thanks so much. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you, Catherine.